Welcome to this Future of Banking edition of the KOFISI Connect podcast, and also in partnership with Voice of FinTech podcast, which I'll be representing today. My name is Patrick Awori, and I am joined by these amazing guests who know so much about the future of banking. And to my right is Tawanda Wenyika, who's a business development executive at EFT Corp. And we're also joined by Caroline Kitema, who's growth manager of payments at Absa Bank. And I'll do less talking now, and I'll just probably put it to you guys to tell me more about what you do at your cool sounding jobs. So, Caroline, would you like to tell us more about yourself and how you got into this space and what you do at work?
Okay, thank you, Patrick. Like Patrick mentioned, I lead growth within the payment space at Absa Bank. A very interesting area. Payments is the future of banking, really, and it's an area that is growing every day. Dynamics of payments are changing. We've seen the dynamics again changing from cash payments to card payments to mobile payments, and specifically in the Kenyan demographic, I think we are big on mobile payments right now.
Okay.
So I take care of growth within the Absa banking ecosystem, basically ensuring that we are offering our customers with very simplified capabilities to make payments. Every day, one of the things that any individual will do is make a payment. Could be paying for a matatu fare or fuel for your car or a meal. We are making payments every day. So I basically, foster growth within that space and just ensuring that how we enable our customers to make payments is seamless, simple, intuitive. And happy to have this conversation.
Cool.
Yeah.
Seamless, simple, intuitive. Wow. What about you, Tawanda? What keeps you busy?
Thank you, Patrick. What keeps me busy is what Caroline is trying to achieve. We at EFT Corp are more the technology providers for the payments and for the card industry. So, to quote one of our CEOs, we want to simplify the digital space. So, the technology is there. The technology is quite complex in terms of the use cases, in terms of the integrations, and in terms of the various technologies that are available out there on the market. So our objective is just to simplify it, to enable banks, fintechs, to enable end users to interact with the technology in the simplest way possible.
Yeah.
Whilst achieving obviously the final outcome of enabling the payments and enabling the interaction between businesses, enabling businesses to interact and to engage.
Yeah, there's a common theme in your introductions that's ringing: the simplicity, the importance of simplicity. And, it brings me to my next question about digital payments or digital banking. And, I'll just quickly get your opinions on what the state of affairs now is, just coming from your perspectives as, executives at the bank or at EFT Corp. Is banking moving in that direction? Is it getting simpler? And how is Absa or EFT Corp, adapting, to make banking simpler? Maybe start with you, Tawanda.
Okay, thank you. I do believe we're moving in the right direction in terms of the banking and simplifying those services for the average man on the street. From our end, as I said, we are the technology providers, so we are looking at more of a holistic approach in terms of the people, connecting people to their service providers. And when you look at it, there's quite a number of solutions that we have on the market. So from enabling the bank to onboard customers, even in places where they are not there, in remote places, which we call digital onboarding, KYC, etc. So someone can be as far off as Turkana, but they're able to convey their data to the bank, and the bank is able to offer them banking services. We also then give wallet capabilities to it, because sometimes I don't want to have a bank account. I don't want to be tied to a bank account. So things like wallet capabilities, and the issuing and processing of those transactions on those platforms, we also bring the technology on board. And then in some cases, even the bank themselves are not looking into investing in heavy infrastructure. So we give them a platform which we call banking as a service. We give them the platform. They don't have to invest in the infrastructure, but they can utilize the platform to the extent in which they want, and enables them to reach out to their customers and to give them those services. So we believe we're doing our part in trying to simplify and also to bridge the gap as well between the customer and the service providers.
Very interesting. Yourselves, would you agree?
Yeah, definitely. I think banking has been perceived, the traditional banking has been perceived to resonate with a certain demographic, and that perception then has led to a lot of the population being left out, because, I mean, banking as we know it, only the elite or the well-informed will walk into a banking hall, probably get their services there. And today, we are living in the mobile-first era. Absa has been here for more than 100 years. So digital banking itself might have been viewed as a thing of the future, the unforeseeable future. So when you look at how technology has evolved, and the call for banking to evolve with the technology, and again, being in this era where everyone is on the phone, it's mobile first, there has been the need to move fast, to evolve with the technology, just to ensure that customers understand banking from a very simple point of view. Customers understand that you do not have to be of a certain class, social class, to bank. So I think what the bank is doing, specifically Absa Bank, is just trying to innovate more, to ensure that as a lot of services are being availed on the mobile gadget, then we're also speaking to the needs of our customers. Again, we can't ignore the aspect of segmentation. Customers do not belong to the same segments. We have customers who use feature phones. We have customers using Android phones. So for Absa, we have availed our banking services on a simple USSD code. You dial *224# and you're able to access any banking service that you'd want to. You download an application, the Absa Kenya app, and you're able to access your banking services. You get into internet banking on the web, and you're able to access those services. So we've been able to come up with products or solutions that speak to any customer of any demographic or any segments. Yeah. So I think, and I mean, we continue to avail use cases and features that speak to the needs of the customers. When you look at how what the government has done with government services, these days you have to go to eCitizen to access your government service, and you have to pay. You probably have to check out and pay through a partner of eCitizen. So that's one of the key things that we've landed this year, just to ensure that we are covering a mass market and we're availing every single service to really help the customer to bank from anywhere, anytime, instead of walking into a banking hall and spending a lot more time than you would spend banking from the comfort of your home. So I think there's a lot of work that's going into that, and that continues to scale. Yeah.
We're definitely moving towards a more inclusive and convenient banking environment, right? And I have would I say a case study or a story about a little project we did. We had a challenge with refugees. I think at the time we did this, there was only one bank branch in the whole of Kakuma refugee camp. And have things changed from that? Because refugees are very productive people. They do run businesses, they earn a living to survive, but they were not being included in and this is a question about financial inclusion, right? And literacy. How are we leveraging, these new technologies to tap in and include those sort of, can I say, marginalized groups or underbanked groups like refugees, like even students, for example, right? Are you doing activations in schools? I'll let you answer that first,
Okay.
Caroline, because you're at one of the most established banks in Kenya. Have you felt like you need to do something about that, and have you done anything to date? Anyway,
I mean, yeah, and you're right. A lot of groups have been left out when it comes to financial inclusion, and majorly is because they do not have access to information that they need to have. Number two, they probably are not aware of what solutions are there for me. For example, a student, you're not working, so you don't have a source of income. However, you spend money, be it pocket money, be it paying for your school fees, you spend money. So the lack of information in terms of what services are there and how can I access them, that has then led to that gap in terms of being able to access those services. So for Absa, what we are doing is that we've been doing a lot of awareness, a lot of financial literacy through a program that we call Ready to Work. So Ready to Work is a program under our sustainability agenda where we literally go to schools. We run programs going to schools across the country and just, speaking to them about our banking services, our solutions, and literally just understanding the needs of, if it's a student setup, the needs of those students. I mean, a student is different from, say, an SME. So really breaking it down and demystifying what financial solutions we have and how those then speak to their needs, and really preparing them for readiness when it comes to future of work, so that then I really believe in transitioning a customer from segment A to segment B. These students are the ones who are going to be newly employed individuals in the few coming years. So we walk the journey with them. We help them to understand what services would speak to them now, what services will speak to them in the next 3-4 years, and how they can tap into those, and we really grow with them. And that's why we really have quite a high rating when it comes to loyalty of our customers. And we are big on propositions. And how we curate our propositions is literally understanding the segment that we are dealing with and understanding what gaps they're having, and really addressing those in a very hyper-personalized way. So yeah, I think that's how I'd answer that. The analogy that you've given for the refugee camp, again, I think the digital age is starting to change that narrative, because now we are moving away from having to walk into a branch to bank. Yeah. So really just availing those services and creating awareness through financial literacy, through through programs that speak directly to a certain niche. I think that helps. When it comes to SMEs, we've done partnerships with institutions like Strathmore, where we partner and really educate our SMEs on on how, financial management, how our platforms can help them to manage their money, what solutions we have for them, right from lending, payments, reconciliation platforms, and so on and so forth. So I think, again, the digital age and digital banking, which is where we're moving to, is helping to address those gaps.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I think it's definitely doing something. Tawanda, I know EFT Corp has powered so many of these financial inclusion efforts, right? Would you like to speak to how specifically?
Definitely. Thank you. I think from a technology point of view, there are many challenges that banks you face in terms of reaching out. And I think Caroline had alluded to them having various platforms to meet the various market segments. So you'll find that the USSD channels enable, the underprivileged who don't have the smartphones, the smart devices to be able to access banking services in the remotest of places. Over and above that, I think from a technology point of view, we feel that as much as all these various platforms are available, there's also a challenge in how to manage and how to handle the back end of these platforms. And from a technology point of view, as I said, we are here to simplify. So we want to enable that. If, as she said, I migrate from level A to level B, from level B to level A, whichever way, I should be able to consume and to have a seamless experience. So once I move from my USSD platform, I should be able to have a seamless, or if not a better experience on my smart device. But I'm not missing out on what I was. So from a technology point of view, we also try to ensure that there's a seamless backend to that in terms of the digital platforms that the banks are looking at. However, we also understand that they are over and above the students, over and above the refugees. There are people who are still clinging on to the traditional banking. There are people who, for them, it's not banking until I walk into a branch. Mm-hmm. For them, it's not banking until I see my branch manager and I have that discussion with them. So we also then build tools to enable the banks to be able to deal with such customers and afford them the same service on that digital platform, but in a face-to-face environment. So it's a matter of just tweaking the user interfaces. I may be talking to a person, but how the data is being captured, how it's being processed, is still under the same platform. And those are some of the things that we look at. And as we mentioned earlier, we are offering banks the ability to now go into the most remotest of places without necessarily being physically there. It's funny because as we speak now, quite a number of banks are opening branches. I don't know, maybe Caroline will be able to explain that phenomenon. Yeah. Because we're moving in a digital age and we're seeing branch expansion. But I think if you look at the population of Kenya, it's mostly the youth, and it's only a matter of time. We've seen the huge influx of Starlink in terms of providing services. That means that a lot of will no longer have this gap in service in terms of network. So that is going to also significantly improve the ability for banks to offer these services on a digital platform, because now network is accessible anywhere at any time. So that's, for me, that's a very huge positive that we can, we'll, both ourselves and the banks can ride on to go out there and either way, the phones, the prices of smartphones are still seem to be, except obviously for the iPhones and so on. But you're now able to get a very decent smartphone at a reasonable price, and I think the prices will continue to go down. And the banks, maybe, I don't know, banks can also then finance their customers. Just a hint to get those smartphones.
Yeah.
Do you?
Yeah, we device financing. We can't finance, but on a credit basis. So we allow, or we provide access to credit for customers. So yes, we are helping or supporting our customers to actually be able to purchase those gadgets. And it's interesting that you brought up the reality of some banks shrinking their branches and some banks really widening their niche when it comes to presence, physical presence in some areas. And I'll tell you, even as we move into the digital economy and digital banking, I think it does not entirely take away the need for the one-on-one, interaction during banking. And really, we really have customers who have refused to move to digital when it comes to banking. They feel more satisfied when they walk into a branch and speak to their relationship manager. We have legacy relationships. Somebody is 60, 70, 80, and they've banked for the last 50 years. So really, when such a person wants to go to the branch and talk to somebody for them to feel like I have banked, my needs have been met, then we are not entirely shutting the need for the customer to go to the branch. And I think at times banking can be emotive. There's that trust. We still have a long way to go as a country, as a continent, when it comes to 100% buying the trust of the customer, especially of the senior citizens. So we still continue to provide that physical presence for our clientele to be able to just walk into a branch, have your needs met. And the reality also of the matter is that at some instances, customers will have to walk into a branch to get a certain issue resolved. Yeah. And thirdly, maybe the last point on that is that we're not entirely cashless. We have areas that are highly cash intensive, especially when you go to areas where SME customers are highly domiciled. Speak of Kamukunji, Gikomba, Kamakis. They highly transact or collect their payments in form of cash. So once they've collected the money, they need to go and bank it to convert that money into cashless money. So we continue to expand. For us as a brand, we continue to expand to meet the needs of our customers who digital is not entirely meeting their needs. However, we really continue also to educate them, to create awareness, to show them how to, so that then even as we provide these services, then we can walk the journey of transitioning. I think digital banking and the future of banking is not an event. It's not a one-day thing. It's a journey. And that's the journey that we are trying to walk with our customers.
Wow. Yeah. I agree. So there's some places where cash is still king.
Yeah.
And there's some places that are, moving in a different direction, more digital. But I want to pick your brain about these very cool, trendy tech things. And I say it, once upon a time, it was everybody was buying Bitcoin. And so while all this is happening, everyone's talking about AI, blockchain, and so on. What do you think? How relevant is all that in this evolution of our banking and payments culture? Is it just noise? Is it making a real difference? So, you can approach the question from any direction. Tawanda?
Okay. I think we have noted from the past couple of years, from the onset of Bitcoin, etc., that there's a niche for every type of technology that is coming up. Unfortunately, in banking and finance, because it's a very secure and very sensitive area, there's need to be very cautious in terms of our approach to new and emerging technologies and new and emerging trends. So you won't find banking and finance being trendsetters, but they also need to keep up. So from our view, we've learned from the lessons of many companies that when technology comes, adapt or die. So there's a process that we feel that needs to be taken in terms of adopting and in terms of engaging the various technologies. For example, for us, we have embraced the cryptocurrency wave. We're not into cryptocurrency ourselves, but we have enabled cryptocurrency wallets on our platform. That means that if you're holding cryptocurrency and you want to trade with that cryptocurrency on the formal market, say, we offer you a channel through which you can do that on our platform, and that's one way of also enabling and adopting those technologies, not necessarily having going gung ho on the technology, but it's as Caroline said, it's a process. We need to adjust and see what fits within our space and what we can allow in terms of in terms of engaging. With regards to AI, I think AI is an inevitability. AI is already taking over our lives in many instances. Some instances we don't even realize it. But it is also, especially for banking and finance, I think it's a very necessary tool that we need to embrace, not only for the day-to-day, but also in terms of, I'm sure you've heard, we're entering the age of quantum computing. And what quantum computing means basically is computers will have processing power that's way beyond what we can control. And if we don't have the AI tools in place to secure our environments, to secure our customers, to secure the funds, then we'll be in trouble. Yeah. It'll be, the system can actually literally crash. So I think in that regards, we really need to look at AI as a very effective tool. Obviously, there's the issue of regulation as well in terms of and governance and in terms of how we use AI. But for me, we embrace AI. We have embraced AI in a lot of our solutions. It helps to make the mundane. It helps with the mundane tasks, and also it helps in predictive analysis that would probably take centuries for us to go through. So it's a very good for us. AI is a very good tool. We are constantly building it into our solutions, and we're actually excited to see what more we can do with it in our space. I mean, we have a huge team of developers that are working on solutions, and a lot of the mandate working internally is where we can utilize AI to make our work easier and to come up with better products. And I'm sure this is similarly even in the service for the banks.
Yeah. Is it?
Yeah. And Tawanda, we are keeping up. So, Patrick, I think those are just not buzzwords. They're technologies that are relevant and are going to continue being relevant in the banking space. It may not be as fast, as mobile money, for example, but we also cannot run away from them because, like he said, technology is very volatile, it's ambiguous, it's rapid. So for us, I think there's a lot of research and development that's going into really gathering information in terms of what exactly are these technologies. When we speak cryptocurrency, what does that mean for our customer? How do we embed it into our banking solutions for it to make sense to our customers? And again, remember, the banking banking industry is highly regulated. It's highly regulated, and a lot of these things really have to go through the regulator for them to really review and look at what does this mean for the industry. What does it mean to the consumer? So I think for us, it's just a lot of research and a lot of really gathering information so that we're not left behind, but also so that we implement some of these technologies at the right time. Also, remember, the banking industry is highly dependent on legacy systems, systems that are, do not scale rapidly. So there's also a lot of investment in technology that needs to happen, even as we prepare ourselves to going with the wave of the new technologies. When it comes to AI, I'd say that AI is here to stay, and it's here to help every organization, every bank, every fintech who is willing to leverage AI. And for us, we are highly mining data. We're highly looking at what our data is telling us, because then it's only through data that we understand our customers at a very granular level and get to hyper personalize that customer to almost putting them in a segment of one, understanding this is Patrick, this is their behavior, this is their transactional behavior, this is their borrowing behavior, and really addressing their needs at a very personal level. So we're also using AI when it comes to engaging our customers. For example, when you go to a mobile application, there's a chatbot there that's real time, and you can engage with a service provider from the Absa side, really, and have your issues logged and sorted out without having to walk into a branch. So we're already leveraging AI, and we continue to do so. I know it's evolving very rapidly as well. So we are keeping an eye. We have a whole unit data office that runs with that agenda. Lastly, is to say that as a bank, we are very open to partnerships, and especially fintech partnerships, because we understand the strength of partnerships of fintechs when it comes to technology, and we understand the strength of traditional banking when it comes to the financial muscle, when it comes to the clientele. So we are very open to partnering with fintechs for partnerships that are commercially viable. Right now, we are going big on our open banking. So really looking at different fintechs and what they're doing and what can we then come together and do. So yeah, we are not being left behind. That's
I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah.
Sorry, Patrick, maybe just to pick on one or two things that Carol had mentioned. First of all, with regards the banks and legacy systems, I think that has been a pain in the side of a lot of financial institutions. And what we have done also, what we have done when we looked at the digital space and we came up with our digital platform was to say, how can we enable banks to leverage their existing legacy systems, but also consume and be on the same level on the digital platform. So you will find that in our value proposition as EFT, we have a very strong platform that is API based that enables the banks to quickly resolve their digital needs and requirements in terms of products and solutions, whilst also retaining their legacy systems. And that's what I meant earlier on when I said we try to simplify, the technology on behalf of the banks. But also, I think on AI and machine learning, I think there's a lot of processes and steps that bankers and banking and finance that you have to go through. And I think AI is going to really push process automation for the moving forward for the banks. And I'm happy. I'm sure. I think we're having this discussion offline before. You were talking about how the environment was some years back for fintechs. I think this is very wonderful to hear that banks are now open to operating with fintechs. Because 5-10 years ago, if you come to a bank as a fintech and you tell them I have this product, I'm sure they'll be looking at you like, and they wouldn't give you the time of day.
No.
And I think this is where we also try to leverage in terms of our technology, because fintechs come in with their own technology, banks have their own legacy technology, and there has to be a meeting of minds. So we try to, with our technology, enable these two systems. And I know the challenges are sitting around. Banks are very strict on, and I don't blame them, because obviously our regulator is very, very strict, and it's people's finances, it's people's future.
Yeah.
We have to be very, very, very cognizant of that. So when these two systems meet, the bank needs to know that they are secured before they engage with the fintech. They need to know that the fintech that they're engaging with, whatever they're bringing on board into their system, is not going to compromise the existing systems. So as a go-between at EFT, we provide this platform where we can then leverage our expertise both in banking and in fintech to bring a meeting of minds and a meeting of technologies.
Interesting. You mentioned these platforms. Just for our guests, what's the name of this platform and where can I find it?
Okay, so basically, we have our platform is called Eclipse. It's normally we normally offer it as on a SaaS model.
Yeah.
Software as a service, which it's hosted on AWS. However, we allow various players to onboard it, to onboard and to engage. In the Kenyan market, we've been working closely with one of the banks, and they have put out a platform called Astra, which runs off our technology, and you can visit it. I think it's if you go online, astraafrica.co, you will be able to have a look and see what they have on that solution. However, as I said, it's a software as a service. We even go to the point of calling it banking as a service because we're offering a full banking platform on a digital space and riding on any existing legacy. So without as I said, with our traditional banking expertise, we are able to integrate and ride off any legacy banking systems that are on the market at the moment. And we have where the challenges occur, we have a very strong team of developers that are able to churn out solutions quickly.
That's definitely game changing. So and I'll personally check it out.
Yeah, please do.
Yeah, but we spoke of regulations, and from personal experience, I was stressed by our regulators. They know. How are we going to navigate this regulation question as we go into this new Bank 4.0 type of reality? Because we were just having a chat with Tawanda earlier, and how difficult it is to achieve interoperability. Small bottlenecks that could be solved by having better, more up-to-date legal frameworks to ease like payments, to ease business, From your perspective, Caroline, just go.
I'm keen to hear the bank's perspectives because the banks for me the banks are also a bottleneck. But anyway, we'll get into that.
It's a whole thing.
Yeah, guys, I think regulation is important. The regulatory body that we have in our country it's critical that it's there. Why is because we are dealing with people's money. We are literally dealing with people's money, and we need to keep up to the fact that Kenyans have trusted us, or individuals have trusted us to take care of their money. And when you look at the banking space as it is, there are a lot of risks, there are a lot of risks around the banking space. And it could be, and you also know the element around anti-money laundering. So there's really a lot of risks that customers are exposed to, banks are exposed to, and it's only through there being a proper framework, regulatory framework, that we can bank on our word when we tell the customers that your money is safe with us. Again, I think the regulations are not very rigid when it comes to the realities of the evolution that the banking industry is going through. I think they have been open to really getting to know what's happening in the market, getting to know how customer needs are evolving, getting to know the impact of technology on the banking space. So I wouldn't say that regulations, the regulator is a bottleneck to the progress of banking to the banking 4.0, right? And you've seen in the last 1-2 years we had our local regulatory authority being at the forefront in launching money interoperable QR for payments. I mean, which is as seamless as tap and go. And that was championed from a regulator perspective. So I'd say that they are up to speed when it comes to the realities of things are changing. We are moving from traditional banking. However, still very keen on how do we keep a controlled environment despite the fact that we are actually evolving as an industry.
So maybe allow me to clarify my statement that banks are the bottleneck. I didn't mean it in a negative way per se, but what I view is I think if you look at the region in terms of the space that we're speaking to, Kenya is seen as the flagship. Unfortunately, our neighbors are quickly catching up, and I've noticed it's because when it comes to issues regarding banking regulation and so on and so forth, they seem to be speaking in one accord. Our banks in Kenya don't speak in one voice, so that's where I meant the bottleneck is. And I feel if we can get that meeting of minds from the banking industry, then we can drive this the technology. We can drive even the financial inclusion that we're talking about even further at a faster pace. I'm glad you mentioned the unified QR, because I think we spoke to it earlier before. Oh. Yes, it's a very noble, and I think it's a very good initiative. The challenge that we have once again is that we're not speaking in one voice, as much as the regulator has, and we did go very far. We were part of that those discussions as well as a technology provider, and we came up. The committee came up with a standardized QR, for which is there. The standards are there and they've been set out, and players in the industry know it. But the challenge comes to where we're sitting is Absa have their own QR already in the market that is already doing very well for them. Bank X and Y also have their own. We have our mobile networks having their own. So who wants to give up their own to, that's where the challenge, I think, where I feel this will not, this might not see the light of day. And I've just been speaking earlier also in terms of traditionally, I mean, in South Africa, we are running the largest unified QR. It's called Scan to Pay as EFT. So I think this is a space where we need to remove emotions from the player and have third parties. It might sound like I'm pushing for a play for us to run the central QR, but it works better when someone outside that space. And if you go to if you go and you look up Scan to Pay, it's the success that it has there in South Africa is there for all to see, and it's something that we can probably try and replicate a similar model here in Kenya, and that would work for us, because I feel in terms of adaptation and in terms of go to market, once a product has been identified and has been accepted by the Kenyan public, we'll run with it, and we'll run very far.
Yeah, and I agree with you. And as an industry, for sure, there's a long way to go in terms of just collaborating. The collaborative approach to go further, than a healthy competitive approach. But also there's credit, to some of the things that the industry has done, has come together and delivered. I'll give an example of the IPSL, the Integrated Payment System, that's PesaLink. So that's Kenya Bankers Association coming and saying, let's come together, let's come up with an instant payment system. Let it work for all the partnering banks, so that when you send money to bank A, bank B, it's going to reach the intended beneficiary, instantly. And I think PesaLink is one of the use cases that has grown exponentially in the last 2-3 years. So yes, there's a long way to go, but also I think the industry has started now to taking the right approach into achieving that goal.
Yes, and I totally agree with you. I think PesaLink is a very good success story for our Kenyan market.
Yeah.
But I feel that you guys as bankers can do more with PesaLink.
Absolutely.
I think we can do more with PesaLink.
Absolutely.
But we have to commend, because if you look at how competitive the banking environment is in Kenya, for something like that to stand the test of time is a testament that we're doing something right.
You think so?
Yeah.
From the customer is the one who will tell us if we're successful. And, sounds to me like we're saying that our customers are quite happy with what they get, right? But we're also saying at the same time that there's so much more work that can be done to make the customer even happier, right? To make banking seamless, affordable, easy for them. In your view, is the future of banking bright? Or are we, arguing, two pygmies arguing which one is taller? But actually, they are both short. I feel like in Africa, we always say, yes, Kenya is a flagship for payments and banking in Africa. But our banking industry is small, in a global perspective. Should we be comfortable, where we are? Have we really thought about what our customers need, where they could be? And I'll put that to you, Caroline. You're fiercely defending the banks, but what's your thought about where we're going to be in 5-10 years? Having discussed the trends, discussed your projects, do you feel like we're moving in the right direction? Or anyway, just
Yeah, absolutely. I think we are moving in the right direction. And I think the trajectory that we're already seeing is a testament to that fact, that we are moving in the right direction. And I mean, when you look at the evolution of banking, it's been onward looking. It's been forward looking. We've been doing things that haven't been done before. We've been embracing technologies, however slow paced it can be at times. We've been embracing technologies that propel the industry to the next level. So I'd say yes, the future looks bright for the banking industry. However, there are things that at an industry level we need to do differently. And I think the industry needs to be more agile into adopting technology. I think the industry needs to be more open to partnerships, especially with fintechs, because fintechs are quite specialized. There are quite a number in Kenya right now. I think Kenya is the hotbed of fintechs in the continent. So I think the industry needs to be more open into really tapping into the opportunities that come with the fintechs that we are seeing coming up. I also think that there's a lot to borrow from a global perspective. And I'll give an example of some of the things that we are doing at Absa, and especially in the payments ecosystem. When it comes to the card proposition, we've recently launched a multi-currency card where a customer is able to seamlessly make their payments as they travel across the continent, which I think then it's really looking at the customer from a global perspective. We're not just solutioning the customer in this geographical area, but we're solutioning the customer wherever they go. So there's that. Last week, we also launched the first ever metal card in Kenya, an infinite wealth card, which is also very specialized for a certain niche. So I think we are listening to the customer. We are addressing the needs of the customer accordingly. And I think it's only through that approach of let's listen to what the customer is saying. Let's use data to understand the pain points of the customer, and then let's learn from best practice and keep, innovating. So yes, there are challenges. There are things that need to be done differently from an industry perspective. There are things that need to be discussed and agreed upon with the regulator, of course, within reasonable limits. But generally, I'd say yes, we are moving in the right direction.
Oh, okay.
So maybe to add, or maybe to challenge Caroline. I hear she says they like the data. So let me give them the data. And I think this is where it shows you that there's the opportunity that we have in terms of the finance. I'll give you some statistics that will blow your mind. That okay, at least they blew my mind when I heard about them. The chairman of the FinTech Association of Kenya last year came up with a statistic, and he alluded to the fact that 80% of transactions in Kenya are cash. So regardless of M-Pesa, regardless of 40 plus banks, microfinances, SACCOs, etc., 80% of the transactions that are still going on in the country are being handled through cash. So that is a huge opportunity. I think that is where the opportunity lies in now bringing and digitalizing those transactions. But how do we do that? I'll still go back to the data. How do we do that? So last month we were at Connected Banking Summit in Ethiopia, and one of the key speakers was our CEO, and he delivered some very damning statistics in terms of what is happening, on the African continent. So apparently, 85% of individuals do not have an account simply because they don't have enough money to have an account. So what are we saying? Are those people not transacting? Are they not trading? They should be transacting. They're trading at some point in time. But we have somewhat probably we've priced. It's a niche that we've not even adopted into. And then we look at other factors also. The trust factor that you were alluding to, and then in Africa we have a lot of challenges in terms of documentation and identifying our customers. And then in terms of accessibility to the services, I think the second largest statistic was that 20% of the adults in Africa are too far away from a service provider of financial services, so they cannot consume any financial services. So that was also something that we found to be quite significant. Those are opportunities. Now, in terms of dealing with those opportunities, we do know that in Africa, a lot of our business is not formal. 95% of SMEs in the world are in Africa. Huge opportunities. All these contribute to, apparently they contribute 60% of employment. And these are huge opportunities where the person who's probably doing an odd job or two for an SME does not have the financial capability to bank or does not have the finances to run an account, but they are part of an organization which the banks and the service providers can target in terms of offering these services. So when you look at all these statistics, what it tells me is there is a huge opportunity in Africa in terms of growth and in terms of innovation, and we are the hub of innovation. I think things that have happened within this space, especially the financial space, within even within Kenya itself, is far more than what you would expect from any other parts of the world. And so there's the challenge, the call to innovate, to see how we can target and ensure that the services are there. And then also from our part, from a technology perspective, because one of the key costs for the banks and the financial service sector is the technology. So we also need to ensure that we are playing our part from providing technology that is not only relevant to what the banks are trying to achieve, but that is also cost effective and that will enable the banks to deliver the service at a cost where they can meet these untapped opportunities on the market. But needless to say, I think I would like to commend. From what Caroline has said, I'd like to commend the bank, because you can see from their thinking, they have launched a wealth card. So they're targeting obviously the who's. However, they also are looking at the average person on the ground, and it's the contrast between those two markets cannot be. Those two niches cannot be greater, but to be able to, within one financial institution, to meet and to service the needs of those are, those are sort of initiatives that we're looking for our financial institutions to do. To say that I bank with Absa, but I'm a Mamamboga. And then you see one celebrity saying I bank with Absa, and you can identify, we are human beings. We also have that we also need that level of we also require that level of identity. Long back, previously, I remember previously when bank accounts were for a certain niche, and then even in that niche, there were certain banks for certain people. Now we're saying it's open season. Anyone can bank with any bank, and that just proves to me that we are going in the right direction, and we're going to be able to achieve way much more in the future.
We'll have this conversation in 5 years.
Definitely.
Yeah, we will.
This is all on record.
Yeah.
I'd like to remind you. But yeah, it's been a very great conversation about where we're headed in banking, in finance, digital, and a lot of promises have been made about being more inclusive, being more affordable, being more accessible to Kenyans, because the statistics that you gave were very clear. There's so much more to gain, and there's so much more work. So I'd like to conclude our discussion on that. Can I call it a punchline? Should I call it on that bombshell or whatever? But I'll give you maybe a minute or two just to for any last, final thoughts that you have about, that you might have had from anything we've talked about today on reflection. Yourself, Caroline?
Yeah, I think it's been quite an interesting conversation. Very eye-opening, very great listening to you and Tawanda. And I think for me, take home is that the future of banking is digital. That's undisputed. Heavy technology, is critical in delivering digital banking. Digital banking is speaking to the needs of the customer very relevantly. The future of banking should be simple. I reiterate simple, because the moment a customer is interacting with a digital banking platform and they experience technical challenges, they'd rather walk into a branch and get sorted. We've seen, social platforms being developed elsewhere in the world, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, and literally nobody comes to train a user on this is how to use it. Yeah, it's very user friendly, very intuitive. You progressively interact with it and learn, and become very well versed with those platforms. And I think that's where digital banking platforms need to be. Customers do not want to interact with a complex digital platform. They want it simple, they want it clear, they want it dependable, they want it convenient, so that then their needs are met as and when they want to do anything on those platforms. Somebody said that whenever somebody is interacting with a digital platform for the first time and they experience a glitch, it's highly unlikely that they'll come back to that platform. In the banking industry, we say that customers are multi-banked. If bank A is not, giving you a good experience, then you'll shift to bank B, because most likely you have accounts in more than one bank, right? So just to close is that vote of confidence that at Absa we are doing a great job with our digital banking platforms. And yeah, we are on course when it comes to the direction that the banking industry is taking. And there's still a lot more that we have on pipeline. So yeah, let's have this conversation in the next few years. Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Caroline. I think mine is just to, first of all, to commend the KOFISI team for realizing that this is a discussion that needs to be had. And I think these are discussions that we need to have on a more regular basis. It's just me and Caroline here, but there are so many voices and minds and ideas out there that are able to maybe articulate better, or even bring to the fray more issues that need to be discussed and that need to be addressed. The future is bright. That's all we can say. The future is bright, and to be in a forum where you can have a discussion with a banker, with a fintech, and a technology provider is something that probably we wouldn't have imagined.
Agreed.
Yeah. So for me, it's I'm happy to learn, happy to make new connections, and happy to understand that we are invested in this. Otherwise, might as well look for other jobs. We're invested in this, not only from a career perspective, but also from the future, the future of our children and the next generation to come. So I think this has been an eye opener, and I've appreciated the time taken, and it has also gotten me thinking on how we can best service the market that we are facing. So my parting shot is upwards and onwards.
Oh, wow. No, I really appreciate your time that you've taken to be here, Tawanda, Caroline. I've personally enjoyed this conversation on a personal level and also on a professional level, and I look forward to continuing the conversation at the upcoming events. This was a nice precursor to get it started, get you warmed up for a bigger debate. Join us this 26th of September at KOFISI Square from 8 to 11. We'll be having a panel of experts discussing everything fintech, banking, and the future of it. So it'll be guaranteed exciting conversations, very thought-provoking, and I know it'll be one for the books. Karibuni.